Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to go on the other side of the pond now. We were just talking about New Caledonia and Queensland. We're just going to go the other side of the pond to South America. South America, for those who are familiar, produces almost half of the world's lithium, and it's just about all at the bottom end of the cost curve, and that's the reason why we're there at the moment. We do have a standard disclaimer. If you are interested in investing, I would urge you to look at this at your leisure. Lake is in the prime location for lithium production in the heart of the Lithium Triangle in Argentina. We have one of the largest lease holdings that's available in a listed entity on the ASX or the TSX. It's side by side with the large companies, either in production or going into production. We have 3 lithium brine projects. Our most advanced project is going into pre-production. Our pilot plant will be pushing out samples in the early part of next calendar year. It's currently under construction in the west coast of the US, and we'll be producing initial samples there and then shipping it down to Chile and Argentina and putting it into construction. And within the next 6 or 8 weeks, we'll have our pre-feasibility study out, which will support that process. The reason for getting out the samples is to get them into the battery makers and cathode makers to start off the whole process of qualification testing, and then we can ramp up into production in the future. We've also had a recent discovery at a project called Cauchari. This was important because we're 500 meters away from a project where the number 2 lithium producer, Ganfeng, recently paid nearly US $400 million to buy half the project. So given that we're less than half a kilometer away and we've discovered very similar brines, that's also a good thing for a company that has a market cap of about 20 million Aussie. So first of all, where are we? In this little blue area is what we call the Lithium Triangle in Chile. In the Atacama has been significant production for some time. And on the Argentine side, Olaroz of Orocobre started in production in 2016. Down the bottom, FMC, now called Livent, started production in 97, and Ganfeng with Lithium Americas will be starting production at the end of next year. And so our projects are nicely located close to those projects, and we know that we're in the right location, not just geographically, not just historically, but in the last 3 years there continues to be significant transactions across the border in Chile. Tianqi paid 4.1 billion for 23% of SQM. As I mentioned, Ganfeng paid nearly 400 million US plus debt in 2 tranches to buy half of the project next to us at Cauchari. And there's also been an oil and gas company who's purchased one of the companies for 100 million Canadian at the start of this calendar year. This is just a quick comparison of market cap versus our peers. In yellow are the brine developers in Argentina. Most of those are listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Ours is off to one side. Suffice to say, even in a market which is a little sour at the moment on lithium, we continue to be a market value of 3 to 5 times less than our peers, and we hope that we can change that in the near term. So our first project, if you're not familiar with what lithium brines look like, pretty much they look like that, whether in different places in Argentina or in Chile. These places, they might get rain once or twice a year, or maybe it'll rain once every 5 years. No grass, no trees. And the benefit of that is that the only water in the area is quickly concentrated, has very high levels of salts. And it just so happens in these areas, those salts also include lithium. This particular project, we were fortunate in that we controlled almost the entire basin on a 100% basis. If we go back 18 months ago, this was a virgin project, hadn't been drilled. Since then, we've demonstrated from a standing start a project that is amongst one of the top 10. Based on our data, this could easily become one of the top 3 or 4 because it could easily increase 3 or 4 times. But with a measured indicated resource of already 1 million tons lithium carbonate equivalent, that's enough for 15 or 20 years production, and why we initiated a pre-feasibility study. Also, the market is not really paying for resource growth or new discoveries, so we wanted to focus on how we can demonstrate getting efficiently into production in the near term. And that is by using a game changer. If we were in Western Australia, we'd have a hard rock lithium project. Here in Argentina or Chile, have a brine project, how do we differentiate ourselves from others so we're just not another? And also, how can we take the benefits of lithium brines, which are low cost, but make it more efficient and produce a better quality product for the end users that make cathodes and batteries? We looked at about 13 different technologies, but this is what evaporation ponds look like out of an aeroplane window in the north of Chile. That's about 60 kilometers from side to side, and it's just extensive ponds. It's very cost efficient because you're using the sun to evaporate the water. It reaches a certain point when the salts concentrate and then you process them. Our concern is that in a hyper-arid environment, at some stage, a government or an NGO may say, we can't do this any longer. But all of the brine producers in Argentina or Chile are using this mechanism. This is what it looks like. You pump out from underneath the ground, maybe 25 meters, maybe 400 meters below the surface. You let the sun evaporate it, concentrates the salts, and then convert it, usually into lithium carbonate. What we wanted to do was something different. We looked at about 13 different methods. The ion exchange and also membranes are very common in the industry when it comes to water treatment. And brines, although it's been in the natural resources space, all we're doing is treating water. So we take the water out. It goes into a water column for about 2 hours. Inside there are little pellets about half the size of rice grains. They essentially work like a Pac-Man for 2 hours. They suck out all of the lithium, and then you just return that water back to the aquifer again, actually to an aquifer below. You haven't done anything to it chemically. All you've done is take maybe the 1% of lithium out. You're not changing the environment. Perhaps over 50 years, you may start to deplete a resource. These things are massive. Just this Kachi project would have the volume of maybe 30 or 40 Hong Kong harbors. And so the rate of production we're talking about is fairly minor. But we produce a high quality concentrate that can be produced into either lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide. And the benefit is that's done in 3 hours instead of waiting 6, 9, 12, 18, 24 months for the water to concentrate. What's good about that is not only does it produce a high quality concentrate quickly, we get virtually all the lithium out rather than half. It reduces the lead time to production by at least 12 months. It's modular, so it can be scaled to suit the end user. It produces a premium product with low impurities. And this is probably the key message. When I go and talk to cathode makers and battery makers over the last 18 months, they're so focused on getting high purity products, low impurities. It's caused issues. That's why we've got a range of pricing in the industry at the moment, but we're still getting good pricing for premium quality product, and it's still at a very cost-effective price with a small environmental footprint. This is our other project mentioned next to Gengfang. We started drilling here this year. All we want to do, we're in blue, in gray is Gengfang with Lithium Americas. We just wanted to demonstrate that these basins look like swimming pools. So if I'm drilling in the middle or if I'm drilling on the side, I'm pretty much going to get the same salty water. My original training was technical and science, chemistry and geology, and later I did finance. It didn't seem to me to seem that difficult that we would find the same material. Here's a photo 500 meters away from their resource, and naturally enough, we found pretty much the same grades over the same sort of water column. But in a market, you need to demonstrate that this works. So that's our second project, and our third project, Olaroz, we're yet to drill. It's next to production at Orocobre, and we're going to show the same again at this project. Our timeline to production, if I look out into 2022, possibly even to 2023, we'd be producing at 25,000 tons per annum using this method. But before that, in about, let's say, February, March, April, May, we'll have enough product out of our pilot plant in Argentina to present that to at least 6 different potential off-takers that have been talking to in South Korea, Japan, and China. That should be enough then to secure a form of financing to take this forward. We recently appointed a group to raise us 25 million to fund that group, but we are currently looking for a group of cornerstones to assist in that bridge. And then the capital cost is probably going to be in the order of 400 million. And we're currently talking to a group out of the UK that regularly finances these sorts of things. Despite the fact that the lithium market is soft, what differentiates this project is we're going to produce high purity product, scalable to suit the end user, able to be adjusted to suit the end user, whether they want an intermediate or an end product, and we can start smaller and then ramp up. But suffice that, we're still a 20 million market cap, some money in the bank. We're trading at an all-time low, but that is not unusual at the moment in lithium stocks. Galaxy, for example, has more than 250 million in the bank. Lithium Americas is funded through into production, but all of their share prices are trending down. The bizarre thing is that this is one of the few commodities I've ever worked in where the demand is tangible. It's going to need new lithium production. And while we continue to see softness in the lithium price, it's actually going to draw the timeline to a rebound in lithium pricing more towards the present. And we want to be one of the 2 or 3 companies when that market starts to turn. We've already demonstrated that the pilot plant operates. We've already engaged with downstream players. We've already demonstrated what the capital cost is, and we can be the next into production to fill that supply gap. This is the team. Stu is here, and so am I, if you'd like to talk afterwards. Thank you so much for your time.